The movie opens up on Earth, where 65 million years ago, a battle was taking place between the Power Rangers and an evil life force known as Rita Repulsa. The Red Power Ranger is the only Ranger left standing, with the rest of the Rangers in critical condition. The Power Ranger uses his last bout of strength to call for a meteor attack before crawling toward the surviving Rangers and collecting their power crystals. He then hides the crystals underground and tells them to find new owners who they deem worthy. At that moment, the meteor hits Earth and causes Rita's armor to explode as she's plunged deep into the ocean. With the Power Rangers now dead, it was up to the crystals to decide who they choose before the evil life force returns to Earth. Years later, a star quarterback named Jason and his friends were inside a barn, stealing cows and wreaking havoc in their school's locker rooms. Just as they get inside the locker room, they hear police sirens approaching them, and Jason and his friends rush to get out and take his car while avoiding arrest. However, they don't make it as far as their car crashes and Jason is arrested. 3 weeks later, Jason is dropped at a detention center by his father, who expresses his disappointment with him for ruining his football career. Jason ignores his father and goes inside, where he meets a girl named Kimberly. Despite him trying to flirt with her, she doesn't seem interested and ignores him, and then, as he goes inside the room, he finds several other delinquents waiting for their teacher to show up. While they were waiting, one of the delinquents starts bullying an autistic boy named Billy, and Jason quickly jumps in to help and manages to send the bully away. At the end of the class, Jason rushes to get back home before his curfew so that his ankle monitor won't go off. Just when he was about to leave, Billy rushes outside to meet him and thank him for saving him. He then tells Jason that he would like them to hang out, but Jason rejects his offer, telling him that he needs to get back home before 7 p.m. Desperate, Billy tells him that he knows how to trick an ankle monitor and that he can do it for Jason as long as he can do a favor for him as well. At first, Jason doesn't take up his offer, but when he gets home and hears his parents fighting, he changes his mind. He barely makes it in time to Billy's house, but Billy manages to disable the monitor successfully. Later that evening, the two of them take Billy's truck toward a secluded hilly area where Billy's father used to work as a miner. After they got out of the truck, Billy reveals that his father has sensed strange radiation coming from that area, but he couldn't really explore it any further. While Billy tells Jason about their findings, Jason is more interested in taking the truck to his friend's party. As he was leaving, he notices Kimberly jumping into a lake to swim, and when she comes out of the lake, they begin talking while Billy, who had started on his experiment, sets a small explosion up in the mountain. Hearing the loud sound, Jason and Kimberly rush to Billy's location. At the same time, they are joined by another boy named Zach and a girl called Trini. Trini warns Billy about causing any damage since the police might already be on their way. Before they can say anything back to the girl, the mountain begins to crumble and fall apart, revealing the power crystals that are kept inside large clear crystals. Although he warns Zach not to touch them, he does not listen to Billy's warnings and decides to crack open one of the crystals. All of a sudden, they hear sirens in the distance and begin running, scared of getting caught. They get in Billy's truck and begin driving in the opposite direction, and this is when they notice a train heading their way, but Billy assures them that they will make it past the train in time. Billy speeds up the truck and reaches the end of the road, and just as everyone thinks that they were safe, the train crashes into them, causing the truck to go flying in the air before crash landing. With everyone unconscious, colorful glows are seen coming out of the car, and elsewhere in the middle of the ocean, a group of fishermen come across Rita's decomposed body. The next morning, the fishermen call the police to investigate the body, and an officer arrives and checks out the body, but before he can make it out of the ship, Rita comes alive and kills the officer. Meanwhile, Jason wakes up in his bed along with the red crystal that he found, and he's shocked to find that he has superhuman strength and that he came out unscathed from the accident. At school, he confronts Kimberly, who tells him that she's been experiencing the same strange changes as him, and the two of them take Billy and head back to the cliffs so they can find answers. There, they find Zach and Trini, who've discovered their abilities as well and are testing their limits. Jason tries to call Trini down from the top of the mountain so they can talk, but she avoids them and starts climbing another mountain at an alarming speed. As the others begin to follow her, they eventually corner Trini at the edge of the mountain, but she surprises them by making a large jump across the ravine. The others follow her once again and are surprised to see what their bodies are now capable of. Billy, who was too scared to jump across the ravine, tries to talk himself into jumping, and when the others gave him motivation, he makes the jump but lands on the edge of the other mountain and falls into the ravine. At first, everyone thought that he was dead, but he tells them to jump down, and Zack jumps first and lands inside the water. And all the others then jump in the water as well, and Billy dives inside and begins swimming toward the edge. There he finds a wall of water and touches it, and he extends his hand and it goes through the wall toward dry land. Immediately, Billy swims through it and falls inside a tunnel. The others follow him and fall inside the tunnel as well, and they begin walking and soon find themselves standing inside a large spaceship. Just as Trini tells the others that they should go back, a robot appears behind her and drags her toward it. When Zack tries to help her, the robot drags him toward itself as well, and seeing their confusion, the robot introduces itself as Alpha 5, a robot that's been waiting for the new Power Rangers to appear for 65 million years. He takes the group to a room and summons Zordon, the last Red Ranger and the leader of the Power Rangers. He informs them that they've been chosen as the new Power Rangers, and now it's up to them to protect the Zeo crystals that protects all life on Earth. He reveals that Rita has been a ranger as well, but she'd lost her way, and now she's gonna summon a new monster that will rip the crystal from Earth if the Rangers don't stop her. The teenagers have trouble believing Zordon and don't really take him seriously. And with no other choice left, he shows them a vision of the future where Rita has stolen the Zeo crystal and all the humans around them have turned to stone. Once the vision ends, the group is forced to take Zordon seriously, and at this point, Alpha 5 informs them that they've exactly 11 days to save their planet before everybody is killed. Before they leave the ship, Zordon tells them that they need to harness their true powers before they can morph into their armor. Everyone prepares for their transformation and starts to concentrate. However, after a while, they kinda give up when nothing happens. After several days of them trying to transform into their armor, Alpha 5 decides to take them to the training ground where he asks them to fight off rock monsters. They try to polish their combat skills, but it always feels like they were lacking something. As days go by, the group begins to learn new skills and get better at combat training, and Alpha 5 even demonstrates some skills for them that they were able to pick up really quickly. But despite all their efforts, they were unable to transform. Meanwhile, Alpha 5 informs the group that most of the spaceship's data has been lost during the battle years ago, which is why they don't know the exact location of the Zeo crystal. When Billy hears about this, he becomes determined to find the location, and after hours of research, he manages to narrow the location down to a Krispy Kreme donut shop. Billy tells Alpha 5 about his discovery, and as a reward for his hard work, the robot shows them gigantic robots known as Zords. They kinda resemble dinosaurs and will help assist the Rangers during their fights, and he tells them that they need to transform into their armor to be able to use it as an extension of themselves. Zack ignores the warning given by Alpha 5 and decides to get inside one of the Zords. However, he soon finds that he's unable to control the robot and wrecks everything that comes his way. He tries to come back to the cave and almost kills the Power Rangers, and as a result of his recklessness, he gets into an argument with Jason. To stop their fight, Billy comes in between them, but all of them were surprised to see that Billy has managed to transform into his armor. As quickly as he's transformed, the armor vanished just as quickly as well, and Zordon, who'd been watching everything, is left disappointed and tells them to go back home for the night. Jason stays back and overhears Zordon telling Alpha 5 that they need the teenagers to transform so he can come back to his original form. At the same time, Rita makes her way inside a gold shop where she steals more gold and finally restores all of her powers. She then uses her power to kill anyone who comes in her way and makes her way to find the Zeo crystal. That night, Rita appears on top of Trini while she was sleeping, and she tries to intimidate her and tells her that she's killed the Yellow Ranger before her, and then she asks Trini about the location of the Zeo crystal, or else she will destroy her town and kill everybody that she loves. And just before she leaves, she tells Trini that they were gonna make a deal in exchange for Rita sparing her life. Sometime later, the group receives a call from Trini, who asks them to meet up. She then tells them that Rita has told her the destruction of their town will begin at dawn, and that she will be waiting for them at the dock. Jason tells them that it's time to make their move before Rita becomes even more powerful. Each of them grab their weapon of choice since they still can't transform into Rangers and start tracking Rita's location. They eventually follow her trail to an abandoned dock, but when they get there, they realize that something's off. They notice a man tied up on a chair on the dock and become distracted. Then all of a sudden, Rita appears above them and attacks them, and she knocks all of them down, but they quickly get back up. Even though all 5 Rangers attacked Rita together, they were no match for her strength without their armor. She manages to tie all of them up and threatens to kill Zack if Billy doesn't give up the location of the crystal. And Billy finally gives in and tells her about the location. However, before she leaves, she ends up killing him. Desperate, they take Billy's body to Zordon and ask him to help revive the Ranger, and he tells Jason as the Red Ranger and the leader of the group, he too had been careless with his team and had gotten them killed. As all of the friends silently mourn their friend's life, this unlocks their powers, and they unlock the power to morph into their armor. This gives Zordon the ability to resurrect himself, but he uses the opportunity to revive Billy, for they're the ones that are required to take down Rita. With their transformations now complete, the group goes to the surface where they find rock monsters waiting for them, and by the time they were able to kill the monsters, Billy notices that Rita has managed to revive Golder. At this moment, Alpha 5 launches Zords, and the Power Rangers were able to fuse with them, and then head towards the city where Golder had already begun wreaking havoc. The Rangers use their Zords to kill all the monsters that come their way. However, they were largely outnumbered and they quickly start to feel overwhelmed. By the time they kill all the monsters that Rita had created to distract the Rangers, she manages to locate Krispy Kreme. All the Power Rangers direct their attacks on Golder, but they find that their attacks are doing little to no harm. Golder easily manages to throw Trini and Jason's Zord across town, and even dodges all the bullets from Kimberly's Zord before throwing her across as well. While they were busy recovering, Jason's father appears in the middle of the road, frantically looking around for his son. Suddenly, Golder attacks his car, causing him to sustain heavy injuries. And just before he's killed, Jason jumps into action and digs his father out of the car, and at the same time, Rita tells Golder to continue digging to find the crystals. To stop her, Kimberly picks up Billy's Zord and tells him to use his Zord to launch a final attack on Rita to take her down. Rita was busy trying to find the crystal and notices the two approaching Zords too late. Billy presses a random button on his Zord, causing a huge wave of power to pass. This knocks Rita down, but they're all surprised to see that the Golder melts some of its gold to heal Rita. With her now fully recharged, Jason tells his group to be careful and tells them that they need to merge their powers to kill Golder. All the Power Rangers then use the power of the Zeo Crystal to mold into each other, creating one large Zord. When Rita notices this, she molds with Golder, lending the monster her powers, and a furious battle ensues, with Golder putting up a good fight. However, the Rangers are better and stronger, and once they manage to pin down the monster, they use a sword to stab its heart. Just then, Rita unmolds herself from Golder and tells the Rangers that others are going to come for the crystals as well, and she tries to attack the Zord one last time, but Jason signals for Trini to make her move, and she swats Rita hard enough to send her into space, where her body freezes up and disappears. And finally, the movie ends with all the citizens watching the Zord in awe, and Jason returns to the ship and gives Zordon an update on what happened before heading home, and the Power Rangers hide their identity but remain prepared for any danger that may come their way at any point, and the movie comes to an end.